So I want to say thank you all for coming today. If you guys want to clap, now be the time. There we go. Thank you. Yeah. We are here in Buffalo, and a lot of you came for specific reasons, and I appreciate that. I want to bring up, since many of you talked about things like mandates and budgets and things like that, I want to cover a couple of things in a basics presentation. Then I'll take Q&A, and I will answer all the questions that you might have. I don't mind. The first thing I want to bring up is the idea of how government controls us. How does government control us, right? So many people, particularly up here in upstate, Buffalo, and place Syracuse, and the place you are up here, think, well, you know what? I'm upset because either Albany or New York City runs everything. Why are they doing that? How do they do that? Mostly through money, through strings attached. If you don't do what I say, you don't get the money. If you don't act how I tell you to act, you don't get the money. That's the issue that we see constantly. And that's everywhere. Federal government does it. State governments do it all the time, which is why I push for localization so much. The pushback I often get is, well, Larry, if we push back to local, aren't there going to be local tyrants and local bad guys? Yes, of course. There will be bad guys always, of course. But right now, when the local bad guy or the local tyrant does something, they're enforcing the king's will, right? So there's no one to protect you, no one to help you. That doesn't exist. But if instead the state government, its job was to protect the rights of the individual, then the state government could protect you from the local bully. Right now they're in league, they're together. Why? Cash. Cash is keeping them together. But if we make localization where more money stays locally, where more people can have more control locally in everything from schools to property taxes to everything, that means there's less strings coming from Albany, less control from Albany. Albany becomes more of a referee, which they should be. And when that local person comes into play and decides, I'm going to somehow mess you up or take away your rights, you have someone you can call to help. Now, what happens often in New York State, you'll see this often. They will create a commission, or they'll use the Empire Development Corporation, right, which is an embarrassment for our state. These are commissions that are selected, usually 3 by the governor, 1 by the assembly, and 1 by the Senate, which means cronies can help out, right? That's what they do. So now they combine and say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do this thing in your area. We're going to put solar panels in a farm next to you. We're going to put windmills up. We're going to come in and knock stuff down. We're going to use eminent domain and take away things. We're going to do the things that we think are correct. And they say, well, it's okay because local people can talk about it. And they can, they have a conversation. It's true. The commission comes up. Local people come and go, we hate this idea. We don't like this idea. We think it's wrong. And the commission goes, great, thank you. Does it anyway. Happens all the time. Consistently. Do I think you should have solar panels or windmills? I don't know. It's your community. You should decide. If you like them, please have them. If you don't, please don't. Why should I be deciding that? How should I, as governor, be deciding what happens in your local community? You should. If you want windmills, please take windmills. If you don't. It's okay. I'm not against any of these things. But the issue is people make decisions and you have no recourse. What are you going to do? Vote the governor out every 4 years and hope? That doesn't work in this state. It's 3-1 Democrat, Republican. That doesn't work. So what happens? Nothing. You are unhappy. That's what actually happens. You are unhappy. Localization will make people happier because you'll have some say on what happens in your world. Why does that matter? I talk about happiness all the time. Happy New Yorkers don't commit crimes. Happy New Yorkers raise their family and friends and careers and businesses here in New York. Happy New Yorkers retire here. Happy New Yorkers don't move. And the biggest issue we have in this state is people packing up and moving. That is the biggest issue. Of all the issues we have many of them, the number one issue is people are leaving. They're packing up and leaving, right? I think it was you said you didn't feel like a Republican governor was realistic. Was that you who said that? Yes, and you're right. In fact, I would say impossible. Impossible. People get mad at me and go, Larry, your chances are impossible. Mine are slim, but not impossible. His is impossible. Here's why. The state is almost 3-1. Democrats, Republican, New York State. Republicans hate Democrats. Democrats hate Republicans. They're not going to vote for each other. We see it always. So even if Kathy Hochul, our current queen, if she decides, our current monarch, because we had a king before, our current monarch, right, decides that does something terrible and Democrats are so mad at her, Democrats will have three options. One, stay home. And some will. They'll be angry and go, I don't like her anymore, and they'll stay home. Some will stay home. Two, hold their nose and vote for her anyway. Many of them will. They did it for Cuomo. They're going to be so scared. Republicans going to come kill you. They'll go vote for her anyway. Or three, they vote for me. The data is in. Democrats will vote for me. Republicans vote for me, so will Democrats. About 25% of the people who supported me last time were registered Democrats. You can also see in the data from the recent polls from Zogby, Democrats vote for me. I can get Democrats to vote for me. You might go, why is that important? Because without them, we can't make impact. So, Larry, is there a path to victory? To answer your question, there is. And the path to victory is what I just said. Kathy Hochul makes enough mistakes to enough Democrats go, you know what? Okay, let's vote for this Larry guy. What's the worst that can happen, right? What's the worst that can happen? And if Republicans realize a Republican has not won a statewide election in New York State in 20 years. Now, I'm not just saying that. That's a fact. Nothing. Not a senator, governor, lieutenant governor, controller, nothing in 20 years. And the state's getting bluer, not redder. So it's not going to happen. There's a couple people who go, oh, you don't understand. A couple of Republicans running go, oh, you don't understand, Larry. You don't understand. I've won in purple districts before. Yes, great. I'm sure you have won in purple districts. New York is not purple. It's deep blue. It's not purple. It's deep blue. We've been exporting our Republicans to Tennessee, Texas, and Florida for the past 15 years. That's why Florida is now red and not a purple state anymore. It's red now. Why? All of New York and California Republicans went there. So if enough of those Republicans realize this, and they then vote for me. If Republicans, Democrats, enough of them vote for me, I'll break 35%, which will win this thing because it's a three-way race. That's my path to victory. But you might go, wait a minute, Larry. That's a long shot. You may not win. I might not win. It's possible. But let's say, for example, I come in second. I don't win. I come in second. What happens if the Republican comes in second? What happens? Yeah, nothing. Because he's been coming in second for the past 20 years. Nothing changes. You get what you have now. You get the disaster you have now if he comes in second again for the 5th time in a row. Right? As you get the same thing you've gotten. No change. Why would you want that to happen? What if I come in second? Everything changes. For two reasons. One legal and one social. Here's a legal issue. In New York State, the Board of Elections is run by the top two parties as decided by the governor's race. Not by Republicans, Democrats. That would be against the law. Top two parties. That would mean all of a sudden New York State is run by Democrats and Libertarians. There's not enough Libertarians to run the state. We don't have enough in the state. So that's impossible. So they will actually rewrite the rules, which is fine. But if they rewrite the rules, guess what? New York State becomes a multi-party democracy overnight. Right now, it's not. It's a single-party democracy, if you call it democracy. In theory, theoretical democracy. But we're a single-party state right now. Democrats run everything. Single party. Now, whether you're a Democrat or not, you should not like that. You should not like single party, whether you are a Democrat or not. I'm telling you that if I come in second, just second, we are a multi-party democracy overnight, which means we can talk again. I'm not joking. We can talk again. Right now, if a Republican talks to a Democrat, they lose their seat. Democrat talks to a Republican, they lose their seat. But if they talk to Libertarians, it's fine. We are the peacemakers. We are the bridge. It's okay to talk to us. We can do this. We'll start talking again. If we start talking again, we can fix things. Which goes to, what if I come in third? I come in a tight third, make real impact. What happens? Media starts paying attention to me, and all the ideas I talk about will now be mainstream. As those ideas become mainstream, Republicans and Democrats will have to do something. We'll have to act accordingly. And the policy library that I built at LarrySharpe.com will become an actual policy library that people look across this state and across the nation. So me running makes change. Me not running, no change. You can yell and scream about your Republican or Democrat. It's not going to change. There's no need, no reason for them to change. They will not. How do I know this? Watch the past 20 years. Democrats have run this state for 20 years. If they were going to fix it, they would have. Republicans have watched the Democrats ruin this state for 20 years. If they want to have a plan, would have had one. Will our Republicans have a plan? No, they don't. Two ways. Can you remember what was the policies of any former Republican running? Any of you? Any policy? Yeah, not one. Correct, because there were none. And if there was one, they do what they always do. They run, they lose, they go away. I ran, I lost. I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm still crossing the state every single year. You still see me out here yapping. I haven't stopped. My policy library is still here. I haven't left. Everyone else does. Because they don't care. They know they're going to lose. They're trying to get their money, get some extra cash, take your money, lie to you, and leave. If any Republican tells you that this is the year they're going to win, they're either lying or delusional. One of the two. They're not going to win. You know they're not. They know they're not too, by the way. They also know they're not. So they're lying or they're delusional, one of the two. I'm telling you that I may or may not win, but I'm giving you a path to victory. But I'm giving you a path to impact in this state no matter what, because my focus is on happy New Yorkers and people not leaving. So my response to you would be, do you like it here in New York? If you do, why are you watching this or here? I don't know why you would be here or watching this. But I'm assuming you're unhappy. Things are not the way you want them to be. Do you want to stop seeing your friends leave? Do you want to stop talking about leaving? Do you want to stop complaining about everything? Do you want to stop watching your friends struggle? If you want to stop these things, your only answer is staring you right in the face right now. If you're happy with those things, vote Republican or Democrat. You will get exactly the same thing. How do I know that? That's been happening for 20 years. History has proven me correct. But I'll get further. From 2018, everybody else is not here. I'm the only one who's still here. I'm still here. No one else is. So if you took your time and your money, your energy, and you put it into the Democrats' campaign last year, the last time, I'm sorry, in 2018, what'd you get? Nothing. Put your time, your money, and energy into Republican last time. What'd you get? Nothing. Literally, that was a wasted vote. Wasted money. But they tell me I'm the wasted vote. But if you spent your time, money, and energy on me in 2018, well, I'm still here. That was an investment. So my vote was the investment vote. Their vote was the wasted vote, but they will tell you the opposite. But history, again, proves me to be correct. That's critical. Now, I went down a road, but I want to cover three aspects, and I give you a policy, a big policy that will affect all three. If we want New Yorkers to not leave here, we have to cover three aspects, three key aspects: affordability, safety, opportunity. If we're able to deal with these three issues, affordability, safety, opportunity, people will stop leaving. Right? I think, was it you telling me how you were paying taxes, but you were okay for a bit? Was that you saying you were? It was you. It was you. Yeah, sorry. Yes. You were saying how you were paying. You were okay with it. And this is true. If people feel safe and they see lots of opportunities, they tend to be okay with some extra taxes here or there. It's human nature. They tend to be okay with it. But we've lost the other two, so we're not okay with it anymore. Right? When there's massive opportunity or we feel very safe and comfortable, we tend to accept extra taxation or, you know, other less affordability. We tend to accept it more. We should accept none of it, but we do. Human nature. If it's very affordable, right, and we feel really safe, we'll take a lack of opportunity. So if this one's missing, we'll put up with that one. If we get the other two, right, we'll kind of put up with it. But that doesn't make you happy. Happy is all three. I don't want you to be satisfied. I want you to be happy. Sadly, most of us have maybe one. Some of us have zero, which is why we leave. Because we either only have one of those things or we have none of them. We have to fix it. Let me give you an idea. I've had many ideas from 2018. Most of them I kept because the state was broken then. It's still broken now. It's just worse. So I have to make bigger ideas. Here's the idea. It's an idea called the NIST, the New York State Social Trust. There's a system that is built similar to that in Singapore. Singapore has a trust, which is called the Government of Singapore Investment Corporation. It's a separate company from the government. It's not the same, it's a separate company. We should be thinking the same way. Build a separate company with a separate charter, not part of the government. If the trust is part of the government, the government will simply take the money. As we saw with the lottery that was supposed to pay for the education years ago. Just take the money. They've already proven that they would just steal money from us. Don't bother doing it. If we make it like the pension fund, then we will have to fund it directly through taxation only, which is what we do every time that things go wrong. We put money into the pension fund, which is a bomb that will eventually blow up in our face also eventually over time. So it's a separate situation. We can build enough money into this, following that model and others across the country, across the world, that within the first year, we do this right, we can make enough money out of that fund that it will pay for school tax. If it pays for school tax, it will now take that burden off of the property tax owner, the property owner. Imagine if you didn't pay school tax. For most people, about half of your property tax goes away. Some of it more, some of it less, but it averages around half across the state. Imagine if your property tax was cut in half without extra taxation. Like you're not getting it someplace else, right? Just it goes away. All of a sudden now, when that happens, rent stabilize. The youth can stay. Isn't that a good thing? Elderly people who are older, who are on fixed incomes, well, their property tax went down. Now they can stay and spend their pensions here. I want our retirees to stay in New York and spend their pensions in New York. It's a priority for me. Let's make a world where they think it's crazy to leave. Why wouldn't I stay in New York? Let's do that. Cut the property tax in half. That would change everything. That's just first year. By the second year, we can provide support for other people who need it, working moms, addicts, people coming out of prison, things like that, without any extra taxation whatsoever. There'd be a fund for that to assist those people too. It's not a bad idea. On top of that, you can eventually pay for schooling completely. Totally pay for school completely, directly from this fund. Once it happens, education changes. What does that change? Because now the dollars come directly from the trust, right to the school districts, per kid. Each kid gets X dollars per kid. What does that mean? The money follows the kid. From that, you give a $4,000 credit from the same fund for someone who decides to homeschool or private school. What did I just do? I'm supporting private schools. I'm supporting homeschooling. What does that mean? The public schools will have to get better or they'll go away because no one will go there. One of the two. I'm okay with either as long as the community has good schooling. That's all I care about. But not just that. If the money's coming from the trust, it's not coming from the federal government. That's $6 billion they will not give us. Good, I've got money, I'm repaying for it, it's fine. It's also money that won't come from the state government. What does that mean? No more strings attached, as I talked about earlier. So now guess what? When you join your school board will actually have power. Will actually make decisions. Because if it goes against what the state guideline is, or whatever the case may be, so what? How can they punish you? They can't. But Larry, some local school boards will make mistakes. Yes, they're human beings. They will absolutely make mistakes. But when one local school board makes a mistake, others around it can help out, see it. I always demand transparency. We can fix it later. We can step in if kids are being hurt. We can do something. What happens when the state makes a problem, makes a mistake? All of us pay. And they will never admit fault and never admit guilt, and I can never change anything. They will mandate more. They will punish more. They will double down more versus learning from mistakes. Everything changes. But I can keep going. By the third year of this, if we do this right, again, it takes some time to ramp up the cash. But by the third year of us doing this, imagine by the third year, we can end the income tax. Imagine no income tax in New York State. Everyone gets a raise without paying one extra dollar. It's only a percentage of raise, but it's a raise. Not just that, that will encourage businesses to come back here. No income tax. It'll encourage employees to stay here. No income tax. And by end of year 4, we could end unfunded mandates, which means that the counties would actually have more power at the county level. You could run for a county office and control your actual own budget. Fix your own roads if you want to, or focus on childcare if you want to, or focus on the things that bother you most. You want to reform your police force, reform your fire department. You can. You'll have the cash to do so if you want to. You can decide. Do I think you should be reforming your police force or reforming your fire department or fixing your potholes? I'm the governor. How would I know? You decide. You pick. You can make it work. This makes localism matter a whole lot more. Happy New Yorkers, localized issues, and now the state becomes what it should be. What it should be, a defender of your rights. That's the goal. Should be a defender of your rights. If there is someone who's messing with you, you should have to call the federal government, the state government, and go, hey, they're taking my property. They're hurting my child. They're doing something bad. They're not allowing me to do something. Great, let me come in and help out. That's what it should be. We should be the firefighters, which is what I mentioned earlier. We do that, we'll have a better New York, we'll have happy New Yorkers. It will be more affordable, as I talked about. We'll also be safer because you'll be controlling your own issues. And there's more opportunity because as all these things come down, more business and opportunities will come in. We'll get all three. People stay in New York. I said last time, and I'll say it again, I would judge my first term as governor by one important metric, and that is that I stopped the bleeding. Did people stop leaving New York? If they did, I'm doing a good job. They're still leaving. I have failed. Hope that makes sense. Thank you, guys. You can clap now if you want to. You don't have to. You can. Don't get off your phone. I'm sorry. To clap for me, don't do that. I'm paying attention. Anyway, yes. So I'm happy to take any questions or comments about anything. I mean, I know I talk about specific things, but I will take a question or a comment. If you think I'm wrong or crazy or something, all good on anything you have.
I have a question.
Please.
Would that eliminate the federal government's Title IX against our school districts?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yes, because yes, the reality. Yes, I don't want that. Right? I'm not against local school districts creating rules and regulations that they believe are effective. Please do so, as long as you're also able to have private schools and homeschooling. Then that's fine. What you'll get is better localized teaching. Right? There's a reason why there's no civics in school anymore, or home ec, or shop. It's not in the federal test. Right? The federal testing forces teachers to teach only to the test. Anything else is in the way. It's how you get your money. But once that money incentive is gone, you'll pick it. If you don't like locally, you don't think civics is a good idea, I don't care. This actually, by the way, gets rid of the big CRT issue, right? Everyone's mad about CRT. Some people think it's a great idea. If you think it is in your district, teach it. If you don't, don't. If you're unhappy, take your kid out of school, homeschool them, put it in a private school. Do you? Why should I be deciding what's in your local school? I'm the governor. Why should I be deciding what's taught in your school? I should not be deciding that. Parents should care. Again, will parents make mistakes? Yes. But what if kids aren't being educated? They aren't now. This idea of some future dystopian world where kids aren't being educated is now. If you're in Rochester in New York and you're a black male, the odds of you graduating high school are under 20%. That's today in New York State. Buffalo has some terrible schools too. So does New York City. They have horrible schools. It's already, it can't get worse. Even if my plans are bad plans, they'll be as bad as this. The dystopia is now. We are dropping $28,000 per kid every single year. $28,000. And we usually rank in the bottom 25 of 50 states. So yes, hope that answers your question. Yes. Any other questions or comments? Please.
Have you been having these conversations downstate? And if so, how have those been going?
100%. For those who don't know, I cover this state and I travel the state and touch every single county every year, all 62. And I live in Queens. So most of my short-term conversations are downstate, right? Suffolk County, Nassau County, Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx. I have them all the time, right? Generally speaking, administrators hate me. Being very forward, hate me. Unions don't like me. But the union workers, meaning the actual teachers, they love me. When teachers hear what I have to say, they go, oh my God, that'd be great. I'd have more control. Because here's how it actually works in New York State. Teachers average around $70,000 to $80,000 a year in salary in that area. Most of them do not make six figures. Some teachers do, but most don't. They make under six figures. All of our administrators make over six figures. Some of them make $300,000 or $400,000 a year. I'm not joking. These are administrators. There are districts in New York State where there are more administrators than teachers. With my plan, a lot of them are getting fired. Because most of them are because of federal and or state guidelines and rules to get the money. That's what most of them are there for. They're going to be getting fired left and right. Again, I'm not going to fire them. Local school districts will. because there are some very good administrators that districts will need, good principals and vice principals, that they'll be like, these are great, we want to keep these people, and they'll stay. But the bad ones are the ones that I'm making sure that the box is checked for the federal government. You're gone. They're going to be fired. Of course they are. I'm okay with that. So teachers like it. Administrators do not. In fact, they talk bad about me. They actually try to not let me talk. I actually went to the teachers union in 2018, the day they were deciding who they were going to endorse. They had an endorsement conference. I went there. I said, I'm here. Can I please address you guys? They went, no. We'll let me in the room. I said, but you're going to decide who you're going to endorse now. They went, yes. So can I go in and talk to them? They're like, no. I said, look, I know you're not going to endorse me. I'm not fooling myself. I'm not going to go there and say some awesome speech. You go, oh my God, we were all wrong. Larry's awesome. I knew that wasn't going to happen. But I thought, can I just talk to you? No. We didn't let me in. I was physically there. They wouldn't let me in. So they often don't like me. Parents are very mixed. Parents are very mixed. Some parents are so afraid that any change in the school system will make things worse. It's based upon fear. But it's bad. If something goes wrong, it'll be worse. Those parents are afraid of me and don't like what I have to say. But those that realize how bad it is, they're the ones who go, yeah, Larry, anything's better. So it's a mixed bag for parents. Teachers like me, administrators hate me, parents mixed bag. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Great. Any other questions or comments?
What is the NIST? Is that what you?
Yes, it is the New York State Social Trust. This is what NIST stands for. New York State Social Trust.
And how does that get funded? It would be a separate.
It is a separate company initially funded by, backed by the $80 billion that we make every year in tax revenue. So that will either be borrowed against it. New York State right now has about $300 to $400 billion in debt right now. The NIST will be funded probably by either a loan of 80 billion, which is backed by the tax base, how you back the loan, or maybe just put it in and take out more debt. I'm unsure exactly details of how that will work, but it'll be initially some type of debt based upon our tax. After that happens, the initial run, it begins to keep growing on its own, right, through investments and such, right? As it begins to grow on its own, it will make enough money. The hope is we can grow it within 5 to 6 years to about $900 billion is the hope. That has been done in the past. It can be done. Here's the reason why. For those of you who be a little bit inside baseball, some of you care. If it is used to fund the state, the assumption is it will be non-taxable. It's a tax haven, right? So permanent capital will want to have a place for it. Big business, permanent capital, private capital will want to put money there, right? Because it's a tax haven. They're going to like that. Second, it's not debt. You're basically buying shares in it, which produce a dividend every year. So it becomes no debt for the actual state. It's a guaranteed dividend payment every year. So it's basically low risk, also low return, but tax haven. Generally speaking, big business, big private capital likes those types of investments. They should be ready to jump right in, which means they will put literally billions of dollars into this fund, into this trust. As they put money in, buying shares, they'll get guaranteed dividends every single year, as long as New York State keeps making revenue. And that's the issue. New York State makes revenue, they get paid. That's how that works. Does that answer your question or no? So yes. So initially it won't have that much money in it. So we can't pay for everything. That's why I said it's a timeline, right? It has to keep making money so that we can pay for other things, right? So there are social trust funds or sovereign funds across the world that literally pay 20% of a nation's entire budget. That actually happens now in the world, 20%. And we haven't done it here. But it only works when it is a separate company. If it isn't separate, the government just takes it. That's the critical distinction. If it is part of the government, it will go away like the lottery will. Did I answer your question? Awesome. Any other questions or comments?
Are you familiar with Divide New York?
I am.
Separating three autonomous regions.
100%.
Do you have an opinion on that?
I love the concept, but the only reason why people want it is because they think that Albany or New York is running it. Once you go to localism, it becomes relevant, right? If you localize New York, Divide New York becomes relevant. I would like to make Divide New York obsolete, right? I get the concept completely. If Albany and or New York City are running everything, of course you want to divide New York. Brooklyn is not Allegheny County, right? Queens is not Erie. They're different counties, right? They're not the same county. So why would you treat them the same? I hear all the time about diversity. Diversity critical, diversity is critical. I agree. I like diversity. I'm in. So if we believe in diversity, why do we have one size fits all plans from one city? we believe in diversity, let's respect the diversity of our state. Each county is a different county. 62 counties are different. Let counties be counties. I tease all the time. A friend of mine once said, "You don't understand, Larry, Brooklyn is awesome. Brooklyn's a blood type." That's what he said. You know what? He loves Brooklyn. Good. You should live in Brooklyn, man, and be Brooklyn. That's awesome. I'm glad you love it. But why would you force Wyoming County to be Brooklyn? Doesn't make any sense. So I get the idea, but if you localize the counties, it's not required, right? You wouldn't want to divide New York if Albany and New York weren't running everything. You'd be happy to be in New York. In fact, you go down to New York City to watch a Yankee game or go to Broadway or whatever. You go enjoy the good things that New York City has. And you go back home to wherever you like. That's what we should be doing. Did I answer your question? Yeah. The issue to remember is people think it's downstate versus upstate. It isn't. It isn't. It's cities versus rural. Buffalo votes as blue as New York does. So does Syracuse, Rochester, Albany, Ithaca. They all vote blue. It isn't downstate versus upstate. It's urban versus rural. So if we allow the counties to be separate, it'll be fine. Does that make sense to you at least? Awesome. Any other question or comment? Uh-oh, something's going on. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Tell me.
Would you consider updating the, I believe it's 1973 Victims' Rights Law at all? However, it's-
You're throwing something at me. Help me with it.
Okay, so with Amherst Police Department, I know that they are allotted a certain amount of money, and they are supposed to have a victims' rights advocate on staff at all times. They do not. They do not provide children with attorneys when they ask for them. They separate them from their parents and threaten to send them into foster care when they are victims of violent sexual crimes. And they do not care all the way up to the governors. When you write them and you tell them about your experiences, sending them copies of your FOIAs and proving with evidence that you have done this and lived this, they don't care about
So
when you
does
talk
that
to
go
them.
through family court or criminal court?
It doesn't go to court at all. They just have evidence and then send you on your merry way and expect you to survive in Williamsville Central School District.
Okay, so let me touch a couple pieces if I could. There are several pieces there that I want to bring up. The first thing is, right now, the federal government gives New York State money for taking kids away from their families. So there is a monetary incentive for the state to take kids, which is one of the reasons why it does so, right? So that has to go away. And my idea of ending the government strings would get rid of that incentive right then and there. I don't think that's enough to solve that problem. That'll put a dent in it though, right? If we just did that off the bat. Second thing, that should be a family law or family court issue. But family court also sucks because family court is also based upon cash. Family courts, again, if they take the kid away, they get money. And if they force you to simply pay, all the payments go through New York State, and New York State takes a cut like a credit card. So even that now is also monetized, right? So when we remove that, that would also change how that works. So if we did that, that would help. But there'd be a third piece, I guess, in this case, you have to worry about. In family court, lying is not considered perjury. So if you lie in family court, they don't treat it as perjury. You should treat it as perjury, which means now what you say, what a lawyer says, what a cop says, what anyone says is now a felony if they lie. That would change how people act in family court. Lastly, family court's priority is not children with kin. And children with kin should be a priority in all courts, in all laws. And people would say, but Larry, what if there's a bad parent? There could be bad parents. There are bad parents. Bad parents absolutely exist. But the data we know for sure is statistically, without question, demonstrably true. A child will always have a better chance of growing up strong and smart and successful if they are with kin compared to in the system. The system, look at people who are in prison now. I'm not making this up. The majority came out of the system. Many of them, probably 80% or more, are fatherless boys. So why would we want to get rid of the family like that? So centralize the parent without question. And next thing is, that's local. It was right back to my other piece. If the state government's job was to protect the rights, the state should be investigating local to see if it's working right or not, right? Because what if this person is lying? Well, if everything the kid said's a lie? Kids lie sometimes. What if it is? Well, then the state government figures it out. If some lawyer or some administrator told the kid to lie, they get punished because it's perjury, right? They're part of that crime. It's a felony. right? If the kid's not lying, then you can punish people who's screwing the kid over. So it goes back to my earlier point. Now, I'm glad you brought this up because on video, my team is watching. So they're going to be like, okay, good, check it out. So we'll have a policy on that probably coming up soon. But I hope you understood my concept.
Yes, yes.
Excellent. Thanks. Any other question or comment? Please.
What is an example of another state that runs the way that you're proposing, or it comes the closest?
There are so many things that I talk about. Most of the things I take are taken from multiple states, not from one. So let me give you a couple of them. The NIST idea comes out of Singapore. So that's one for that idea. The idea of treating, as I talk all the time, to get businesses to grow, right? Businesses to grow. I also talk about if you're a local business and you're deciding that you will sell only locally. By the way, I treat farmers like businesses. So if you are a farmer, I treat you like a business. And you want to do only local selling, you are immune from all federal regulatory bodies, right? Meaning that now the small little guy has a chance to succeed against the big guy because the big guy is always going cross states. It will assist. Also supports farm to table, supports localization, all those things. Wyoming does that now, right? They're having no state income tax, right? Florida does it now. Texas does it now. They're all growing, right? Literally, they have no income tax. They're all growing. Literally, we have lost one congressperson. Florida gained one. Texas gained two. So I think that's an example of those. Oops, sorry. No, we lost one. We almost lost two. We lost one. We went from 27 to 26. Yeah. Florida gained one. Texas gained two. So those are three of the policies I just mentioned that work that way. So is there one state that works that way? No, I pick my policies from multiple places that I think work. So I can't give you one. I'm hoping New York will be able to pick the best and put it all together. Did I help at all or no?
Oh yeah. What about having the local governments have more power? Which states do that?
States almost none.
Oh, none.
Yeah, almost none. It is very hard to find a state who does it. Most don't. Here's the reverse I will give you, if I could. The Department of Education in the federal level only began to have teeth about 1980. It did physically exist before, but it was really like a repository for information. It had no teeth whatsoever. It had teeth around 1980s when it began to have teeth, right? If you have gray hair in the room like I do, you might have been in school before 1980. I was. Somehow I learned how to read and write and survive and even run for governor without having the Department of Education. Somehow I figured it out. It worked. I don't know how, but it did. It worked. Is there anyone in this room who believes that education has gotten better in the past 40 years? It has not. Correct. Data's in. It has not. Since we've centralized education, it has gotten worse. Again, history is showing that I'm correct. As you centralize education, it gets worse. Look at New York State. New York State centralized more and more and more. The Board of Regents, right? How about the Regents diploma? You heard about this, right? Utter total waste of time, money, and energy. Useless. Has no value whatsoever. Garbage. All it does is make kids scared or worried about testing, all types of things. It keeps them out of trade schools when some of them should be in trade schools. It ruins us. So while I can't show you one who's done it that way, I can show you what the opposite has done in damage. Is that close enough?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Good. Anything else? Is there another thing? I'm happy to, if there's something else you want to bring up. Excellent. Go ahead.
So if you were governor
Mhm.
and not trying to get into too much like legislation
Mhm.
and the majority is Democrat,
Yep.
how much power do you have to change?
It's a great question. Two parts to that. One is things that a governor can do, and one is things that's legislature. The advantage to the bad system that we have is most of it is not done by our assembly. As I mentioned earlier, New York State doesn't really pass many laws anymore. It passes budgets and creates commissions. Right, that's what it does. Most of the stuff that's happening to us now is through commission, but they're not passing laws. They give the executive order power to the governor, which I can immediately change because I'll be the governor then, right? I go, that's no longer good. Get rid of that. Done. So I can undo executive orders immediately. I can change the people on the commission immediately, right? So now I'm going to put you on instead because you know what you're doing, I hope. So I'll put you on instead. Done. So now I'll put someone else on instead to make sure the commission stops doing the things that it wants to do. I can end that right away. So commissions, executive orders, very easy. That's changeable literally within the first 30 days. That can be done. Now what about law? Well, I'll have the governorship, but I will also have the state senate. Once I become governor, there's enough state senators who will change their party libertarian. Why would they? Why in the world would some state senator become libertarian? Right now they wouldn't. Why? We have no power. We have an official party. Why would they do it? It would just destroy their careers. But all of a sudden now I'm the governor. We are an official party. I've gotten at least 35% of the vote. So there's a mandate for change. If they become libertarian in the state Senate, they run the state Senate through the swing vote. They become the mansion and cinema of our state. Seriously, they become that. For just 4 of them, 5 of them, they run things. Now, would senior people within a Republican Democratic establishment do it? No, they have power. But would junior people who have no power all of a sudden want to get some power and become libertarians? Yes. Some of them already told me this. That's how I know. So I will control the governorship and the state Senate, but I will not control the assembly. I will not. You're totally correct. That's far too much Democrat. I will not control that. So what I'll have to do, I'll have to go back to the people. So I've already said what I'm going to do. My plan, it's public. I'm going to sell one of the helicopters that the governor has now. Seriously, they have helicopters. I'm going to sell one of them and deck out a bus so I can run the government through a bus. I'm going to drive across the state like I'm doing now and physically run the government out of the bus and be with the people. I must. Otherwise, I can't get anything done. Which again says, I can't be corrupt yet. You got to give me like 48 years before I can be corrupt. I physically can't be corrupt yet. So I'll have to be around talking to people, having them come on the bus, being out there talking to people to get them to put pressure on their assembly people so I can move things forward. That's how I do it. Did that answer your question at least?
How did you get involved in politics?
I was going to leave New York. True story. For what I do, I'm a business consultant as my day job when I work. I don't work now. I just do this now. I literally I don't work for a year. I will not take a salary for a year. Last time I ran, I did not take a salary for a year. And if you can imagine what my bills and my debt was, I have a wife and 2 kids. I live in New York City. My wife does not work. So you can imagine what a tax that was on my income, which is the only reason why I didn't run in 2020 for something. Why? I was broke. Had to go make my money back from running in 2018. So now I'm doing it again. I'm not working. And before I make that next step to your answer, think about this. In 2018, there were 5 people running. I was the only one not getting a government check. This year, there'll be 3 people running. I'll be the only one not getting a government check. What that means is this system is set up for either the super wealthy or the establishment to win and to run. They didn't want me to run. So that's how the system is set. But to answer your question, I was going to leave. 2017, I was like, I'm done with this state. I don't want to work anymore. I don't live here anymore. So I decided I was going to pack up and go. I looked for a big city. Biggest city I found was down south, was Charlotte, North Carolina. I thought, I'm going to Charlotte. So I went down to Charlotte, looked around. I thought, I can sell my shoebox of a home in Queens, buy a mansion in North Carolina, pay less taxes, have money left over, and deck the house out with whatever I wanted for the money that I sell my shoebox of a house that I have in Queens. Oh my God, it's amazing. And instead of moving, I got mad. And I said, you know what? Why does my state suck? Why does my beautiful state that is absolutely amazing, one of the best states in the union, if not the best state when it comes to beauty and everything else you could get in the state, and its government is so oppressive, it literally breaks up families and makes me leave. My mom left. She died in South Carolina because she couldn't retire in a state. I got mad. And I said, you know what? I'm going to come back. I don't want to leave the state that I'm born in, that I have my business in, my family and friends are here. I'm going to go back, 2018, run for governor. I'm going to win and fix the state. That did not go as planned. I did not win. However, once I ran, I realized how bad the system was. Running for office taught me so much about how corrupt the system is. So they got angry again. So now I'm here again. So I guess anger is why I'm in, maybe. I don't know if that's good or bad, but you asked the question.
On any boards, committees in the
Why,
past?
why would I ruin myself by doing that? I'm not sure.
You have to start somewhere.
And I'm starting where I need to start, where I can make impact. I'm not running to run. Lots of people run to win or run to run. That's not what I'm running for. I'm running to make impact. Winning is the greatest impact. And be very clear. If I win this thing, no hyperbole here, it will change the entire nation overnight. That's not hyperbole. Think about this. If New York State goes from deep blue to gold this year, it will change the entire nation overnight. We will rethink our entire 2-party system. We will rethink gerrymandering. We will rethink campaign finance reform. We will rethink all the issues, because every time you ask the question, I give you an actual answer. And for every question you ask any Democrat, Republican, all you get is, other guy bad. You don't get any answers. In New York State, the people running now, the Republican house just goes, more laws, more cops. and the Democrat goes, more money, more money. That's it. That's their answer for everything. I gave you actual answers. Even if you hate my answers, if I'm in the mix, you got to talk about the answers. You have to find an answer. You have to. So if I win, the entire nation changes overnight. If I come in second, New York State is a multi-party democracy overnight. I make the most impact here. And right now in New York State, nobody else can do it. I wish there was someone else who can do it. I'd go home and go back to work. But right now in New York State, there's no one else who can do it. That's why I'm doing it. To be forward with you, I have to get 45,000 signatures in 6 weeks. You might go, wow, is that a lot, Larry? Yeah, because 4 years ago, I had to get 15,000. They tripled it. This is what actually happened. For those who don't know, it actually happened. 2018, I get in the ballot. I lose the election, but now Libertarian Party is an official party in New York State. 2019, I crossed the state again, supporting local candidates. We had 107 victories in 2019. There were 107 Libertarians elected in New York State in 2019. That's true. You can do your own homework. That's fact. That's what happened. Many of them were fusion vote, obviously, fusion candidates, Democrats and Libertarian, Republican and Libertarian. 107 across the state. Then they destroy everything. Boom, gone. You can't have it anymore. You're gone. You're out. Lose everything. All gone. Through a budget issue, of course. They pass budgets. Through the budget, they go, no, this is no longer good anymore. You guys aren't valid. In fact, not 15,000, but 45,000. And not just 45,000, but now earlier, not in the summer when there's a bunch of events and fairs where you could actually be seen, but earlier when there's still snowstorms and rain and there's no events. Do it then. And 3 times as much. Well, I've already raised 6 figures. I'm already known. The Zogby poll already has me at 6% already. I'm not even a ballot yet. I'm already at 6%. And I'm known. And I have a situation where I can stop working for a year. Who the hell else can do that? And I'm still fighting to get in the ballot. I'm still working hard to get in the ballot. You've got petitions for me right now. I'm still working at it. I'm busting my rump to get on the ballot now, and I have all those advantages. How is someone else going to get in the ballot? They're not. It's not going to happen. They will. If I don't do this year, New York State will never be a multi-party democracy. As Republicans are moving out, it will be a Democratic one-party state for the next 50 years. I'm not joking. If you think I'm joking, just do your own homework. That's a fact. 50 years, this will be a one-party state for the next 50 years. If I don't do this now. I know, am I scaring you? I don't mean to scare you. Doesn't any truth. There is, please show me another answer. If I'm wrong, please show me. Do you see Republicans coming back into the state to make it a two-party system? I don't see it. They're running out as fast as they can. A realtor told me that almost 1,000 a day are leaving. I don't know if that's true, but they may be exaggerating. But still, even if it's 500 a day, still a lot. That's 200,000 to 300,000 people leaving our state every single year. Yes, I see it. You all know someone who's left. You all do. And at least half of you are considering leaving. Of course. That's how it works. So did I answer your question? Awesome. Any other question?
How old is the Libertarian Party?
1972. You're actually 50 years old. Yes, absolutely.
And why did they take you off the ballot?
They didn't officially take me off the ballot. What they said was, okay, here's how it works. In New York State, you have to get, 2018, you had to get 50,000 votes on a governor's line running for president. That was the rule. If you got 50,000 votes, you had to first get 15,000 signatures first to get on the ballot. If you got on the ballot and you got 50,000 votes on the election time, then you had ballot access. You were able to be an official party for 4 years. The Libertarian Party had never done it before. 50 years, never done it. 2018, I did it. I got 100,000 votes. So boom, we won, yay! Then in 2019, they went, oh, no, this is not going to work. They said, you know what? We're changing the rules. Literally in the middle of it. I should have had ballot access for 4 years. In the middle of it, they went, no. We're changing the rules. And now it's not just governor, but also president. I know it's COVID, and you're never going to make it handed. You don't even have a presidential candidate. Doesn't matter. President. And it's not 50, it's 130,000. And so, of course, we couldn't make it. There's no way we could make that. So we lost our ballot access. They took it away from me. No way we couldn't make it. How could I even run for president? How are you going to tell me with 6 months to go run for president and get 130,000 votes? How about I do that? And I was going to run anyway. And our president candidate wasn't going to come to New York. She wasn't going to win. So why would she spend a bunch of time trying to get New Yorkers to vote for her? So I don't blame her for that. Don't blame me for that. I'm going to say for that. So of course we sued them. Of course we did. You can't do this. The judge said, yeah, we can. No. You can't do this. Look, you told me that if I do these things and I spend time, money, and energy, and I raised $500,000, which includes $10,000 of my own money that I put into my campaign. I took a year off from work. People, the average person gave me $85. That's how many people donated to me. People donated to me from all over across the country and New York State. So we did what you said. We should get 4 years of ballot access. They would, yeah, no. And their logic was, I'm not joking. Again, anything I'm saying is live. So if I'm saying something incorrectly, someone will correct me. They basically said to me, not to me, but to us as a party, yeah, we want to fund elections through the state. And if we have too many parties, it'll be too expensive. So you're too expensive, so no. I'm not, you're too expensive, so no. So I know you have like a First Amendment right and stuff, but it's expensive, so no. Only if it's cheap, then you can have it. That's what New York State told us. That's where we are now. That's why I'm here trying to do this. So if I don't do it, no one will. The other parties aren't even trying. They're not even trying. They know they can't do it. They're not even trying. They just surrendered. They've already given up. They can't even try. So did I answer your question at least? Excellent. Any other questions or comments?
How many signatures do you have so far?
I think under 20,000, if I'm not mistaken. So we are actually on track right now to just make it. So we have to get a little harder. So if you're watching, harder. So yes, we have to get. If we only get like 45 or 50,000, which we're on track for about that now, they're going to challenge us. And for those you don't know, the Democrats, Republicans every single year spend your money that you donate to them to give to lawyers to throw people off the ballot. Yeah, no, you don't need it because you know they do it the other way. They actually will pay people to go into the Board of Elections and to look through every signature and go, wait a minute, he wrote Brooklyn and not Kings County because Brooklyn is officially Kings County. That is an invalid signature, even though there's no doubt that the person who signed that thing, their intent was to sign it. It was obviously a mistake. Brooklyn and Kings County are interchangeable. They will say it is not a valid signature. That's immoral and unethical. And New York State does not care. They don't care. They'll do it every single time. Well, it's street and not avenue, but you know it. The person's registered. You see it. Invalid. No, they will get rid of it. So they will literally go through and do it all. Again, legal, totally unethical, completely immoral, and the judiciary does not care in the state. The judiciary does not care in the state at all. Board of Elections does not care at all, even though it's completely unethical and totally immoral to do it anyway. So I've got to fight my way through at least probably 55,000, 60,000, at least.
And this is for the, when you say 6 weeks, that's the primary date? Or?
No, there's a special time from the day. I think it's April 24th to May 31st. I think that's right. Is that right?
April 15th.
Is it 15th? Sorry, April 15th. There we go. Something like that till May 31st. No, they just decided the time. They just said that's the time. And here's the best part. They said it's the time, right? Meanwhile, they won't make a full decision on any of our court battles. They just leave them off in limbo. And here's worse. For me to run for governor, to get those signatures, I must have at least 500 signatures out of half of the congressional districts or more. That's part of my requirement. Well, you know that the gerrymandered districts just got removed. Just got removed by the court in what, Steuben County? Is it Steuben County? Yeah. So the new districts are now null and void. But you can't go back to the old districts because we've lost a district. So right now there are literally no congressional districts in New York State right now. So I literally cannot do what they want me to do. You would think a court would step in. No, because they don't care. Logically, anyone will go, wait a minute, he has to do this, and it is physically impossible for me to do what they're asking me to do right now. Physically impossible. No one can do it. They don't care. Too bad. That's the response. I wish I was joking. Again, anyone who wants to check it out can check it out. They don't care. The goal is to keep me off the ballot.
Now, how does the primary affect?
Doesn't, because I'm not a party. I'm an independent nominating. I'm an independent being nominated by the independent committee. So I don't have a primary. I wish I did. I wish we were a party and we had one. I was planning on having a primary, but New York State decided that they wouldn't want to give me that. So I don't get one. So it does not affect me at all.
What led you to homeschooling?
Oh, this is a horrible story, I think. But yes, I'm in New York City and I'm actually homeschooling my daughter, my youngest daughter. I got my oldest daughter out of school early. She was 17. I got her out early. And I got my youngest when I pulled her out. She was 11. She's just 12. 3 days ago, she turned 12. 4 days ago? Hold on. 4 days ago. Yeah, she turned 12. So yes, I pulled her out. Why? Because the mandates on masking were so harsh in my daughter's school. I can't believe parents accepted it. Literally, true story, literally. If you can imagine a New York City school, it's just a big building, like all the buildings, big building, which basically says PS something on it, right? It says school, public school, something, right? So when she would put her foot on the curb to go to the school, there was an administrator out on the stoop yelling at her to put her mask on. She had to put her mask on when she touched the curb, not just in the school. So she puts her mask on. Okay, harsh, but not the end of the world. So she goes in. She can't talk in school. Can't talk to your friends. So you walk along the sides of the hallway 3 feet apart, because COVID only 6 feet for adults, but COVID for kids is a different kind of COVID and only goes 3 feet. I don't know, whatever story. Anyways, 3 feet. It's 3 feet for the kids. 3 feet apart. They can't talk. They go into their classroom 3 feet apart, mask on. They can't talk. You have to keep the windows open for, the COVID. The windows open. It's cold. It's the winter. They have to wear a coat. I'm not joking. In class, they can't go to the lockers, which might talk during the lockers. They can't go to lockers. No lockers. They have to carry everything with them. Still not done. Go to lunch. Half of the kids sit on the floor facing the wall, or the other half eat, because you've got to divvy up the space for them to eat. And they sit in alphabetical order, so they can't sit with their friends and they can't talk. Yeah, I said, literally prisoners have more freedom than my daughter has. I'm out. I pulled her out of school. There was no way I'm not going to send my kid to prison. Sadly, lots of New York parents were happy sending their kids to prison. And that's okay. Your kids do things appropriate. I'm not sending my kid to prison. If you want to send yours to prison, good to go. You're literally training your kids to be good prisoners. I'm not going to train my child to be a good prisoner. It's not doing it. Not doing it. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I homeschool my girls,
Mhm.
and I know 10 states in America that don't require a letter of intent,
Mhm.
absolutely no government intervention. And New York State is clearly.
Yeah, New York City is terrible. New York City wants to make sure it controls you. This is why I talk about my school plan of making sure that you get to have $4,000 credit to start your own school or homeschool. Just do what you gotta do. I don't care how your kid learns, right? Just learn. Just be happy. You can figure this stuff out. It isn't crazy. If I have to trust somebody with kids, I would rather trust a teacher than an administrator, right? Either can make a mistake. Teachers are humans. They'll make mistakes too. But when an administrator makes mistakes, there's basically no recourse. Many of them don't even see the kids. A teacher actually has to jump through hoops in this state, get a master's degree, do all types of extra stuff to become a teacher. They bust their rump to become a teacher in this state. And then what do? We have administrators tell them what to do. Why did they go through all the stuff then? If they're just going to do what the administrator tells them to do, just get high school graduates. Seriously, if you're just going to do what someone tells you to do, you don't have to get a master's degree for that. You don't have to do all that. Don't just pull people out of high school and go, okay, do as I tell you. Why do you think some teachers leave New York State? The burnout's terrible. Ask the teacher why they left. They're not going to go, kids were jerks. They're not going to say that. They wanted to be with the kids. That's why they did this. They will always say the same thing. System sucks. Administrator's bad. Why am I doing it? Too much paperwork, blah, blah. And they're right. I win that. So yes, and I would like people to not feel they have to homeschool. I would like people to homeschool because they believe it's right for their kid, not out of desperation. Homeschooling out of desperation is bad. That means the system's broken. Homeschooling because you feel it's right for your kid, that's fine. No worries. Does that make sense? Excellent. Any other questions or comments? Guys, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for watching.